You can bookmark this. I'm here to prove Ryan a little bit wrong on something.
Yes.
I'm here to create simple templates and what I'm strategizing. And we're going to talk about this in future podcasts coming up and on our channel. I'm going to simplify Instagram with templates. Basically, all of my Instagram I do on Monday for the entire week. I sit there with my editor. We just knock it out. And I look at that.
What's up, everyone? It's Ryan and Adam with the Agent Marketers Podcast, and today we are giving you the #1 real estate marketing strategy out there for anybody, whether you're just getting started, whether you've been in the game 10, 20 years. We're going to break this thing down into phases. We're going to talk about things that we are actually implementing in our own businesses because we are both licensed agents. We practice what we preach here. These are things that we are actually doing in our business for this. So Adam has it written down in phases. We don't always agree on everything, but what we really want to give you is if we were starting over today, right, as a brand new agent, and now just for context too, Adam's 10 years in the game, I'm only 3, all right? But if we were to go back in time, knowing what we know now, going through what we went through, we were both in the same brokerages when we kind of first started too, we had our paths, all right? But let's break this down for this real estate marketing strategy because even like real estate marketing, Adam, like it's a broad word because everybody has their own idea of what marketing is. So like kind of give your context on what you kind of perceive as the words real estate marketing.
Yeah, so when we talk about marketing, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. It's like we are trying to get new leads. We're trying to get new business and we're reaching out to those people. We're trying to attract them to us, right? That word is attract. So it's easy to go buy an ad and pay for somebody and let somebody else do the work, right? We're trying to cut out that person. We're not buying ads. We're doing stuff that's organic, that's going to be actions that we take that are going to attract those businesses and get our phone ringing, get emails coming in and texts coming in with people that want to work with us. And that's the beauty of the entire thing, right? And the growth here is endless. There is no end to any of this work. It just starts to snowball and take off. And that's the beauty of it because it is evergreen. It'll keep growing with you as long as you keep inputting. So we have broken this down into phases, right? Because again, Ryan kind of said, hey, let's talk to the viewers here and those listening. Let's say, hey, if we had to start over day one, what would this look like for us? What would we do first? What would we do, second, third, and fourth, and so on? And, we started breaking things down into phases for you. And I think in phase 1, we both agreed that your sphere of influence, which is the oldest time-tested, thing in business, is probably the most important. You have to start there. And, I built my entire business, first 6 years of real estate, on my database, on my sphere of influence, which is people that I knew. People that I, family, friends, coworkers, people at your church, whatever that may be, they're in your cell phone. You get those people and, you put them in a database, which is a CRM. You have to have that CRM to control everything and to keep yourself organized because, again, this is going to grow into a full business and you're going to treat this like a business, not just as your typical realtor, right? We're not flying by night here. There is a strategy and a blueprint that we're giving you. With a sphere of influence, I had taken notes. I had, data over 7-8 years, which was if for every 10 people that you have in your pile A, because you're going to separate this into, group A, group B. Group A is going to be your bread and butter, the people that answer your phone calls, that spread the word for you, tell their friends about you. They're going to send you referrals, right? And they're going to call you when they need to sell their home. So that's your bread and butter. Out of that A group, 1 out of every 10 to 12 people is going to buy or sell a home that year with you. And so, if you have 100 people in there, you got to think 10 or 12 deals a year just off of that group. Then that same group is also going to refer you a person. So for every 10 to 12 people, you're going to get 2 deals. If you have 100 people in that group, you're getting 20 to 24 deals a year just off of that group. Now, group B is going to be the people that you maybe, they're an acquaintance. They really don't answer all the time. They're okay. 1 out of every 50 in that group is going to buy or sell a home with you. So you got to think those ratios, and that's how you really focus on your sphere of influence. And then, of course, you're going to use your CRM to just organize all those contacts and work with that. Ryan, you want to share with them what you think maybe number 2 in that phase 1 would be?
Well, hold on. Let's stay there though with that phase 1 in the sphere, because a lot of people, even today, like I was just talking to somebody else, and I was coaching actually an agent yesterday, and she said, all this time basically, as long as she's been in business, it's been sphere of influence, which has led to all the numbers you just said. Like, people make
Yeah.
a good business off of what you just said with just sphere, right? Which leads to referrals and
Yep.
then more and more, and you're compiling this, and then those different groups. So it can work, and you can build a really decent business just off of that alone. But
Yeah.
how are you marketing to your sphere, right? For the marketing purposes, like we talked about kind of before, right? Am I calling them like, hey, I'm an agent now? Like, how do you go about marketing to your sphere?
Yeah, absolutely. So to back to your point, I was a single agent and I was a top agent for 6, 7 years just off of that small group. I mean, I might have had, I always said, if you get to 200 people in your database, you don't really have to ever market again within you're making 6 figures plus, probably 200K plus just off of that. Right. And every year you try to cut off the fat, the ones that don't answer. But my strategy was to reach out to everybody every 90 days. And I wanted to phone call, take notes when you reach out to them, right? How's your kids are going to college? Amazing. How's it feel now? Empty nester. What's your life like now? Take those notes every time you talk to them. The next time when you call them back, maybe 90 days or 6 months later, you finally get a hold of them. You have notes to piggyback on. They're like, man, this guy really pays attention to me. He knows about my kids. And every time we talk, he knows what, he remembers. So I used to always call them. Probably once or twice a year, I would try to meet up with a cup of coffee or have a beer with them, something simple where it's just personable. And again, we're only talking 100, 200 people in your database to be really successful as an agent. And just keeping it nice and casual, like, hey, let's have some beer. What's your kids doing now? What's going on? You're not
Yeah, you're
always
not
focused on like
salesy, right? You're
real
not
estate.
trying to be salesy.
Yeah, the whole intent is that we're building a relationship. And
Yeah.
I know I was with Keller Williams at one point, and they pushed this 33 touch. I mean, you have to contact them, touch them, whatever, 33 times. I think that's a little bit of overkill, to be fair. I don't think it was a bad thought, but really you just want to stay in front of them. So if you give them a really nice personal call, you meet up with them maybe once or twice a year. I'm personally, I like pro sports. I'm in Tampa, so Lightning, Bucks, Rays. I send out a calendar. And at one point I thought it was silly, but like I would walk in to sell a house and it was like a single woman and my calendar is on the refrigerator. And she's like, oh yeah, I follow the Rays or I follow the Lightning. We love it. So I never took it for granted. People actually keep those things. But the beauty of it is, I'm gonna use this as an example. If I send a calendar, if I send a piece of mail to them, like a holiday card, it's not that they read it. I don't care if they read it. It's that they see my face in the mail and they're like, oh yeah, Adam, real estate,
Yeah.
done. They throw it in the trash. That's all it is. Make an impression. So, you can set your own tone there. I think the phone calls and the personal touch is the best. That's the gold mine. But figure out a way that works with you and your vibe to reach out with them maybe 10 times a year, 10, 12 times a year organically. That's natural. And you're in the money with that. So, and that CRM again is going to be your gold mine to remember stuff, because you want to, when you call them or you talk to them, you want to be able to remember what your last conversation was.
So we're not just calling them, I got my license and I'm not, hey, I'm an agent now. Like, do you need to buy a house or are you trying to sell your house? It's more so of like, hey, I just want to see what's going on, man. It's been a while since we talked, how things going with you. And then you just kind of have this conversation and then it turns back to, well, what's going on with you, Ryan? And it's like, yeah, I just kind of had a change in my career path. I just got my license and I'm excited to get this thing going. So now when they ask you that just kind of opens the door for you to go ahead and say, hey, look, I'm an agent now, right? Kind of thing.
Yep, absolutely. But I'm going to tell you, man, again, top agent, doing great. Everything I had a system. Everything felt great. I'm out with my clients, everything's smooth. And then COVID hit. For me, COVID hit, and that changed my entire game. Shortly after is when we actually met, and you helped me with some of my things and putting things in place. But I had to think outside the box. I had to change my business because I could no longer meet for a cup of coffee. I could no longer, I couldn't do that person in person anymore, and it took away from my business. Not only that, but people kind of locked up locally. So my only 100 or 200 people, I really had to shift. I had to pivot and figure something else out. So that's what led us into the beginning of our online strategies and really reaching out to a bigger crowd than just 100 or 200 people that were locally here in Tampa that I had. And keep in mind, I still think that's the bread and butter. That was just a pause in the game, but a 1, 2, 3 year pause, it's not really great and it doesn't feel good. So the idea of this entire video is like, what's the best strategy? What's the blueprint? Well, it's to be well balanced. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have things that work together, that intertwine and really give you like a well-balanced business. So not one thing goes down, your business doesn't crumble. You're still thriving in any market or any scenario that happens. So, Ryan, I'll let you lead the way in that phase one. We're still in phase one here, guys. We have a sphere of influence. We have a CRM that we talked about to control and manage your contacts. Now we're jumping into the big leagues. What's next? What would you do next if you were starting over, or even if you were 10 years in the business and you're like, I need to figure something outside of my sphere of influence?
I would be on YouTube making videos galore. All right. And some people might be surprised by that. Some people might not. But I've gone viral on just about every platform, like almost all of them. And I typically go viral from a teaching point, right? Like a teaching aspect. I'm teaching something, whether that was TikTok and the video got 500,000 views or whatever it was, Instagram, whatever it was. So then when you think about YouTube as a platform, what do people typically go to YouTube for? For the most part, they want to learn something. I need to change my tire. I'm not a car guy, right? I don't even know how to change this headlight in my Kia Optima that I had. Like, I have no idea. But knowing what I know now and how I built my business, YouTube for sure, right? The amount of people, well, when we talk about COVID too, and the amount of people relocating all around, right? But YouTube is a gold mine because we can implement an exact A to Z strategy. Like we do this, right? We teach agents this all the time. A to Z strategy. We do this, boom, 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 boom. I can guarantee you somebody will call you, right? I think YouTube is the best. Was that?
It is. It's a science. You can read your data. You can connect with that audience. I mean, it's always evolving and you always have to adapt. But at the end of the day, it is a science. You apply a certain tactic to your videos or to your SEO work and everything else. You read the data that it spits back after you post a video, and then you adjust or adapt, and what works, you stick with it and do more of it. What doesn't work, you change it. So it's pretty simple. But like you said, you've worked with a ton of people, thousands of people at this point with YouTube. We both use it in different states, in different cities. We both have channels. Mine's over here in Tampa, and it has changed my entire game to the point where, I mean, I think we were chatting about this today, not to throw numbers out, but we definitely did over 100 million in the last few years just in sales directly from YouTube. It's allowed me to grow my business. And now it went from single agent sphere of influence to, hey, I need a team. I need a team to help me take this on. And I've kind of redefined my life in how I go about real estate. Now I'm really looking at it as a business. That's pretty much when I reached out to Ryan and we kind of connected over YouTube, only to find out that Ryan knew a little bit more about YouTube than YouTube, right? He was dabbing in Instagram, like he just mentioned. He dabbed in Google Business and all these other platforms across the board. And instantly I was like, man, do you know anybody that does websites? And he's like, absolutely. So that kind of took me into phase two. And I think that's going to be our step up from phase one, right? Is in phase two, it's like, okay, now I have a successful YouTube business. We've been grinding at this. We post videos every week. We have an audience. We're getting reach outs. People are calling us from YouTube saying, hey, I want to work with you to buy a $300,000 house, to buy $1 million house. We've sold them from land to $5 million houses. We've sold from YouTube. So you're going to get everybody and anybody that you push content towards.
I mean, but that just took me to phase note alone, like today, my agent in Hawaii is going to show a client who reached out from our channel in Hawaii last week, meeting him and his wife today to show $1 to $1.5 million homes. Like,
yeah. And what Ryan's saying, Hawaii, he lived in Hawaii, had his channel there, moved to Vegas, right? So you actually are running two channels with two real estate teams from one location. This is pretty amazing. But that being said, YouTube was the baby. That started everything because it's educational and it's entertaining all in one. If you could package that in, that's the gold mine there. But you got your database, you got your YouTube. Maybe you're growing a team at this point. Maybe you're running it on your own, but you're probably getting uncomfortable. And now you're saying, okay, I need to grow this next level. I need to be a resource. When you have people reaching out, it's going into your CRM, but now you're actually getting a following and you want to be able to provide value back to them, right? So it all comes with value and being a resource. And that's where I said, I need to grow, a website so that people can go somewhere and kind of, the idea with, I think, real estate and marketing in general is that you want to send them somewhere that they can all gather and it's a resource for them. So basically Ryan took me and he said, hey, build a website, build it from however you want to do your business, right? My business was relocation and focused on Tampa, the city. So I started doing all the different, basically the areas. I broke everything down by areas. So if you're moving here, you don't know the areas, it would break it down by schools and the things to do and where to live in the neighborhoods. And we start putting those on pages. Well, then Ryan said, hey man, are you doing anything with those pages? And I was like, no, I'm using Agent Fire at the time, right?
Yeah, I was Agent
And
Fire.
so
I
he
was
said,
like, get rid of it.
yeah, he's like, that's not going to help you with SEO. And I said, well, you're the SEO guy, so just tell me what to do and I'll do it. So he took me back, showed me a different platform that will allow me to rank organically on Google, because that's the idea, right? And he's like, with all those area pages, that's kind of brilliant what you're doing. You're becoming a resource for your city. Why don't you make all those blogs? And I was like, okay, I just write a blog. And he's like, no. There's strategy there, right? Everything has a strategy, right? We talk about YouTube, sphere of influence. We talk about YouTube, building the website and putting certain keywords in it. And then when you blog, what's your target? If it's Tampa, you can't just go and rank for Tampa. He's like, go long-tailed, go, living in Tampa, Florida, moving to Tampa, Florida, things to do in Tampa, Florida. Get all those that are a little bit easier to rank for, and then eventually you'll start moving up the rankings. And as I look at Google, I think we were looking at it the other day, and it said if I were to pay for ads on what I've built so far just on Google, it's $90,000 a month I would be spending on Google ads, which absolutely blows my mind to get that much exposure. And it's free and it's not stopping. I mean, I think after 6 months, we were ranking for some of our blogs for certain suburbs and areas around my city, which is really, really neat.
So that point
and that's
right
a whole
there,
new
though,
world.
that point is kind of where I disagree as far as what to do next. Because websites take so long, right? Websites can take a really long time to build. It's very complex. The platform you use, is it drag and drop? Is it coding? What is it? Does it have the SEO friendly capabilities? Does it have Yoast or Rank Math, whatever it is, all those types of things? It's very intricate, as you know. And when I start talking about it, it starts. All right, you're speaking language, man. I don't know what you're saying, but I actually, this is where I kind of push back. We've had this conversation multiple times. I actually think that you need to be building your Google business page here. To me, that is something that, because we're talking about ranking on Google in general, right? Because when we talk, the reason we haven't even really mentioned the strategy for any of these other social medias is because the intent, for me anyway, the intent isn't always there, or is there in general when it's Facebook, Instagram, those types of things. That's, people are on there for entertainment. They want to watch these really short videos. They want to go interact in a group or a news or whatever it is, right? That's more of, you have to be a disruptor on those platforms versus Google, where the intent, or YouTube, because they're search engines. And I don't put YouTube as a social media platform. It's a search engine. But that's where people are literally like looking for some specific information, which has higher intent on the shopping, whatever it might be. So, and you experienced this in a way where you weren't really messing with your Google business profile, yet when we started looking at your analytics and we saw your name, Adam Morjan, being one of your top search things, it kind of happens where, okay, this guy's got 12,000 subscribers on his Tampa channel. What is happening?
Yeah.
People are probably watching you, and then they're going to Google and they're looking for Adam Morjan to see what other people who may have been clients or not are saying about you. They're trying to get more information on you other than just, your camera presence, which already built the know, like, and trust. They just want to see if you have any bad reviews or good reviews, and see what people are saying. So that's why I always push back with this when we get to this part, is because I think that Google business profile can also start ranking in Google for you organically and getting calls for you organically. And it won't take as long as the website.
There's no question that people that see me on YouTube, right? Sometimes it's like, this is the guy, we're calling him. There's other times we're like, well, we don't know if, is he a real guy? What's his really? And then they'll search me to kind of like do a little background check. And that's where, it's kind of like on Amazon. You go buy something on Amazon, it's got 50,000 5-star, must be a good product. I mean, not all the time is that true, but that's a vanity metric that people love. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think Google Business is something to start, and I think it's great to start. I started a little bit late in the game, and I'm working on building that now, which is a little backwards, but that's why we're shooting this video, to say if I had to start over,
Yeah.
this is the order I would do it in. But what I'm going to tell you is this. Google Business is also in my phase 2. So I have website, blog, and Google Business all in phase 2. Whether you want to start that in phase 2
Yeah.
or whether you want to put it at the end of phase 2. My website, we actually built 2 different websites because I didn't like the first one, but it took about 3 months. I want to say 3 months or so, start to finish. And then you start tweaking things as you go along. And I was very specific on it. Blogs, I mean, if you can rip off a blog every 2 weeks or a blog every month, I think that's pretty good. And I think one thing that Ryan's always taught me is, hey man, sometimes it's better to go back and tweak blogs to rank higher versus creating new blogs. So that's also a good thing too. But phase 1, recap it up to this point. Phase 1, we got sphere of influence. YouTube's going to be a big driver for you. CRM's going to kind of, control everything and manage it. And then I think also, phase 2 is going to be Google Business first. I'll give it to you because it's a simple one to start up. And really, you're building reviews, right? You're building reviews so people can check you out.
That's the key.
And a nice profile.
And I'll give everybody a little quick tip here for a little nugget.
There you go.
You do not have to have a transaction to get a review. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. What's beautiful is that when people call us and we have a great interaction from YouTube, which at this point I'm getting, I don't know, I can't count them. I'd say we had 1,000 clients that actually were already past our filtration, right? Past our filter from the beginning, meaning they're buying a home within a year, in 1 year. So imagine we probably talked to 2,000 people a year. But as those people come in, if we feel it's a solid connection with a great conversation, hey, can you give us a Google review on our business so far? I think that works amazing. So that's where we're at phase 2. At this point, you can almost guarantee that you got a website coming. You have blogs on Google. You have Google Business, your YouTube, which is owned by Google, by the way. Everything is working and Google's going to love you at this point. They're going to start really giving you some good exposure. I think that at this point, you probably almost have to have a team, or it's going to be in the works of some kind of help.
You're probably getting there already. Yeah, you got to be getting close to that point. That's so much to handle. I did it. And I did it. I was like, oh man, I got to find somebody.
And you know when to expand when you're uncomfortable. When you get a little uncomfortable, that's a good thing. That means that you're growing and you're a little bit uncomfortable. You got 4 clients in town. You've got calls coming in. You got new clients onboarding. You got closings, inspections, updating a blog, a website, shooting a weekly YouTube. I mean, it's a lot of action going on, but that's a good thing for growth, right?
Yep.
Phase 3. It's like, what can we add to this? What can we start to layer into this to make it more complex, yet it still works together with what we've already grown? I personally think if we're going to stick with YouTube, because that's our biggest driver, why not add into that channel? We've actually played with 2 different things, right? So I think a podcast or some kind of live stream weekly would be really good. At this point, you already have a following. Let's say you have 5, 10, 15, 20,000 followers. It's good to give those people a little bit more value on that same platform that they signed up for. So I think, my version of that is, hey, you're relocating here, all that's great. On my main channel, I'm going to be a good resource talking about communities. On this other one, I'm going to talk about stuff that's not so evergreen, maybe market updates, and I'll have my mortgage rep on there with me, or I'll talk about the things to do because the calendar is just loaded with events, and just to try to maybe share that vibe with you of what it is like if you actually already here. And if you're already here, then you know this stuff and you love to see it too, because it's just fun living in our area, right? I think a podcast is just a really nice layer, and it's going to expand your growth on that channel. After that, I think, going back to now, you've got all these people coming in. You've got the website. In the website, you're going to have contact forms that people can reach out to you by filling out their information, all that. So now let's add a layer to your website. I think growing a newsletter that will go out monthly, a monthly newsletter to your database in your CRM. You probably have a few thousand people, maybe 1,000, 2,000, and that number's continuing to snowball. So monthly newsletter, just to keep in front of them. On top of that, on your YouTube platform, it's like, hey guys, you want to know more about Tampa? Stay in the know. Sign up for the newsletter. Now you got their name, you got their email address, their phone number. You're adding to your database because what we're doing is marketing. Our entire idea is to get out in front of people, get as much exposure as possible, and then give them value. Value is going to be in that newsletter.
What's
the
that
last
value?
piece I would say in that, what is that value? So for me on my newsletter, I like to keep it simple. I like to say, here are some things that are local to Tampa, right? So for example, if you bought a house with us in the last year, guys, the deadline for homestead exemption is coming up. Make sure, here are the 3 links depending on the county that you bought in. Make sure to get that filed by the end of the month so that you can get that homestead exemption on your new property. Then maybe page 2 of that, it might be like a quick 3-pager. Phase 2 will be things that are happening, the calendar of events in Tampa, right? We have the festival, we have parade, we've got these people in concert, like, big attractions going on. Or maybe it's Valentine's Day or St. Patty's Day and they're turning the river green. Whatever that looks like, we're filling that calendar up for you. And then the last page is going to be market updates.
So with your podcast and your newsletter, you're essentially becoming a local news outlet, a local media outlet. All right. And a lot of agents don't think about themselves that way. They think it's just real estate all the time. It's real estate. Oh my God, it's real estate. But instead, and we've seen this on these other platforms too, on just about every one of them. So your podcast that you're talking about and your newsletter are tied into the same thing of I'm being the best local resource for anything real estate, but also anything Tampa or anything the city you're in. Yeah.
Yes. And here's the key. I mean, you nailed it on the head. Every time you hear me say I'm giving value, I'm not saying, hey guys, I'm the number 1 realtor in Tampa. Nope. Yeah. I'm going to say, hey, I'm the number 1 resource for you if you're moving here, if you live here and you want to know about the neighborhoods, the areas. I know about them all and I'm going to show them to you. Right.
See, that's the point. That's the best point right there. Is like you just said, it's providing value isn't what's the market doing, because it's that's all real estate agents just like they get so just compressed or compartmentalized into this bubble of if I'm providing value, I have to be providing value in such a real estate manner. And to me, that's just old school thinking. But that's what a lot of agents get so buckled down in is, well, this is how I provide value. Well, how long have you lived in that city? What do you like to do in that city? You know what's going on, right? There's plenty of things that you can provide other value to. And when you become that go-to resource, like we've been saying this whole call, essentially, is that's what it all is really boiling down to. But that's what you're trying to be, is I'm the go-to. If you need anything about anything in this city, I am the go-to. Right.
Yep. And I think that, you have to remember as you're doing your YouTube, your podcast and all this stuff, we're not talking top 10 restaurants. We're not going and interviewing a restaurant because you'll have some people that teach that, right? Is hey, go do an interview on the restaurant guy. No, absolutely not. You're going to keep it real estate, keep it entertaining and fun. So when I look at a community or an area, I might do like, here are the best neighborhoods. Here's new construction homes. By the way, in this area, these are the 3 hubs and the things nearby if you live here that you will like doing, right? So here are the grocery stores and the schools. And just, I'm going to give you as much information as you didn't know. So yeah, we might talk about your favorite restaurants in that area, but the focus is not going to be that. It's going to be living here first. And then here's the vibe. If you live here, you've got access to these amenities. Yep. So that's really what it is. And that's going to follow in that newsletter. It's like, hey, here's a tidbit that you need to know. It's pretty good as a real estate agent. That's what you're following us for. Number 2, if you live here, if you're coming here, these are the things to do. And then on the bottom, we are going to give the stats because we are real estate agents, right? So I do update the market stats month to month as far as what are sales prices doing, what's local area doing. So really simple newsletter. Once you have a template, it's like a plug and play, an hour, maybe 2 hours, and you're done for the month. And then you just send it to the entire database, and it's amazing.
Yep.
At phase 3, we did the podcast, the newsletter, and now I like to add some kind of resource that you can download, right? On your website, I personally have a relocation guide, everything that I'm talking about. Sometimes you'll have people that reach out on YouTube. They're like, hey, I'm thinking about moving there in 18 months or a year. I'm going to come in right now to explore the area. And then, maybe we'll come back. We just need to know that that's where we want to live because I know nothing of Tampa, right? One of the things that we've developed over time is self-guided tour. I can't be there. I'm not a tour guide. I'm a realtor. When we know that you're moving here, we'll get you pre-approved. We'll show you houses. We'll hold your hand. But time is money in a way, right? You have to be structured with your time and be efficient as well as with your client. They love it when you give them a resource. It's like, here's everything you need to know about Wesley Chapel. By the way, I did a video about it. You can watch the video to see it too. And then let us know. And if you want, we can kind of get you a little itinerary based on the days that you're coming in. They're like, that's awesome. If it's somebody that I have time for, or that I, if I don't have my schedule full, or let's just be honest, if they're like a high-end client and you're like, hey, I need to make time for this one, right? We're a business. I'll go have a cup of coffee with them, or my agent, because I have a team now, my agent will have a cup of coffee with them. And then here's your self-guided tour. So that would took us 30 minutes in the morning, great touch, build that relationship. 7 months later, when they're ready to buy, or 6 months later, hey man, that was great. You've built that relationship, and you follow up with them when they're done that week. Hey man, how was your tour? And you know all that because it's in your CRM.
Yep.
Right.
Oh yeah. So, no, I love like you just said, and I know again a lot of the agents that I coach and stuff, they're just, I don't want to lose the client if I don't go meet them and I don't drive them everywhere. You are not an Uber driver, right? You are.
No.
But if you can be the best resource and provide the most value, like we just said, they're going to come to you for everything regardless. You don't have to go take them. So same thing, I had somebody, I said, hey, look, based on what you've told me, there's an area that I actually used to live in. It's called Makakilo. It's hard to find in searches. Even if you find a home, it's going to say Kapolei, and then you're going to have to look at the neighborhood. It's going to say Makakilo. I tell people all the time, one, like you said, I made a video on it. I highly recommend you go check it out. You can almost drive and follow along in the video, right? If you wanted to do that. But I highly recommend you go check it out. Drive during the day, drive at night, make sure it's your cup of tea, right? Checks your boxes, all that stuff. And then I'll talk to you guys tomorrow and see how it all went. Oh yeah, great. Sounds good. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Awesome. Right? They may even text you while they're doing it. Oh man, Ryan, I love it up here. The weather feels great, whatever it is, right? And then they're like, oh, that's great. Yeah, I'll give you guys a call tomorrow and we'll definitely talk more about it. And then I didn't have to leave the house or spend money on gas or anything to be that resource and just be that person for them. Right. And so it's really great strategy.
And here's what's wild too. You're such a good resource, right? And we have a ton of new construction in Tampa, so in our suburbs. So I do a lot of focus on new construction, especially with the market the way it's been. The inventory has shifted there. So it's actually kind of nice because you can adapt your marketing on the fly because you're doing it every week. So you can say, you know what? Interest rates went to 8%. Local inventory kind of resales just kind of stopped. But all of our inventory is in new construction and they're giving deals on closing costs. Let's shift our marketing there. Boom. We sales went through the roof when everybody's kind of struggling to find that local client, right?
Yep.
So that happened. But I've actually had people, because we're such a good resource, like, hey, sorry, last minute, we're coming in town. I already kind of did the research from your videos. I know the model that I want. I just want to know, is it okay if I put your name down so you can get commission? And we're like, yeah, of course. By the way, I'll meet you. They're like, no, we're already good. We've already talked to the agent. We just want to put you down as our realtor for the process. And I'm like, love it. And that's not like a flash in the pan. That's happened a handful of times a year for the last 4 years now, right? So no question, if you can give value, it'll come back to you. And with all of these things starting to work together that we're seeing now, right? YouTube, we have the CRM, just kind of managing it. Now you're on the website, the blog, all of it is branded together and it's tying in. Your Google business, kind of the reviews solidify you as a solid agent and they can read those reviews. Now you have a podcast for those living here or moving here, as well as just kind of giving that local vibe, that quick update information. And again, long-term, maybe for those nurturers that are long-term, you've got the newsletter, and anybody coming in town, you got a resource that they could just download off of your website, right? And you're gaining their contact in case they didn't call you. This took me into my next phase, man. And this is where you and I kind of go back and forth. Lately, I just kind of cranked it up and it's been successful so far because I started with YouTube. Yep. Because I started with YouTube, I had the growth. I have the exposure. I mean, literally people, you go to the grocery store and it's like, oh man, I moved here because of your videos. And my daughter looks up at me and starts laughing like, hey dad, there goes another one. But Instagram, everybody wants to jump into it right away. You know, I took 3 months of just studying it, strategizing, reaching out to other realtors, to be fair, that's within our brokerage that are not in my city, that are in other cities, to see their strategies. And, you know, we shared our kind of our 2 cents is like, what's working, what's not. And man, you know, first 90 days here, I mean, I've had videos go viral, 50,000 views, you know, over 1,000 reach outs, all organic. I've had so many companies reach out to me. Hey, I can get you to 10,000 in 3 weeks for $50. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
It's not how it works. That kills your channel, right? All of it is organic, everything we've talked to up until now. And what's beautiful is that in the first probably 30 days, I'm getting DMs and reach outs and everything else on Instagram saying, hey, love your YouTube channel. By the way, you're definitely our realtor. Or they're starting to message me out now through Instagram, first 30 days, because I had the presence already on YouTube and because they saw everything else. Now it just starts to intertwine. And now your Instagram is very purposeful and it matches your brand. And now you're sending people, and now both platforms will actually benefit from being on there. So I guess the last point too, we just actually talked about it right before this on Instagram. Since you have your YouTube, you have your podcast, you're looking up things for your newsletter and all that stuff, you're having new, fresh weekly content. Instagram becomes a side product. It becomes like, or a byproduct, a byproduct of what you're already producing. So the reel that I had that with 50,000 plus views in just a few days, that was a video I shot, 10 best neighborhoods in Tampa to live. And all I did was I condensed it down into, 45 seconds or so.
Yeah,
and I only showed like 2 or 3. Yeah, I showed like 2 or 3 neighborhoods. I was like, if you want the rest, check the list below. Boom, it exploded. Because it exploded, I went and said, let me chop the 10 videos down into, the 10 neighborhoods down into 10 single videos.
Yeah.
Now I've got 10 new posts over 10 weeks that I'm going to spread out. So I'm repurposing YouTube. I'm getting my podcast, which is more local stuff, the things to do, and I'm putting that into a weekly video. And again, it's a byproduct now, and it's only going to grow your reach. Again, marketing strategy, right? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know how I feel about Instagram. It's not that I haven't grown or can't grow on it. It's I truly feel like it's a lot more work than people think. You'll see all these gurus, all these people out there saying, grow these amount of subscribers, views, whatever it is in this amount of time. And you'll see a bunch of people saying that they are, they're going to get famous. You're going to go viral, all this stuff, and it's going to do wonders for your business. And people don't realize the amount of work that goes into it. But if I can put the same effort into YouTube, and that's a search engine, and my videos are ranking on page 1 of something that's searched 100,000 times a month, to me, that is better prospecting than trying to go viral on Instagram, whether that's dancing, whether that's something completely irrelevant, things like that. Not saying you do that. That's just kind of what's touted and put out there. So to me, like I said, YouTube, I can give you the A to Z strategy. Instagram, we can give you the strategy. It's just you got to play in the playground a little more, as I like to say, right? You got to go and you've got to be active. You've got to go and you got to comment. You've got to get yourself out there. It's almost like you're creating your avatar, and you've got to go and you've got to be in other people's, playgrounds and stuff like that too. But I do think, to me, it goes back to search engine. If you search Ryan Strong, Hawaii real estate agent, like, to me, you're going to see YouTube, Google Business, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You're going to see everything. And you cannot find me, right? So, no, but I do think it is important to have. It's called, like, what's the word? Omnipresence, right? It's important omnipresence to have. And like you said, it's a byproduct. And that's why we didn't have it in the beginning, right? We didn't have it in the beginning because how many people do you know? Like, yes, you can get leads off of it. You can close deals off of it. There are people who do great things with it. But how many of those people are out there versus how many of the YouTube people do I know out there, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's night and day. It's two opposite things, and I'll have to agree with you on one thing. It can be difficult, and I also agree with you that I'm glad that we did YouTube first, because it just gave us this understanding and this feel. To be fair, YouTube's a little more complex in the sense of it takes a little bit more time because of the videos that you're doing. However, the rewards are so much better. That being said, you can bookmark this. I'm here to prove Ryan a little bit wrong on something.
Yes.
I'm here to create simple templates and what I'm strategizing. And you know, we're going to talk about this in future podcasts coming up and on our channel. I'm going to simplify Instagram with templates. Basically, all of my Instagram I do on Monday for the entire week. I sit there with my editor. We just knock it out. And I look at that from the previous week of YouTube podcasts. Everything that I'm teaching or talking to you about is exactly what I do. So I'm going to simplify this, and I'm going to prove him wrong that Instagram doesn't have to be hard. But what I will agree with him is it's much easier if you have YouTube and you have other resources to pull from first. Then it becomes much simpler and a byproduct. So definitely make it part of your business. I think it's going to be a huge part of my business.
Oh yeah.
But it's going to be something that is not as important as a CRM, a sphere of influence, or YouTube, right? I think those are much better, and those are staples that you got to have up front. So
yeah,
at this point,
I'm not bashing Instagram necessarily. I have people that reach out to me on Instagram. A lot of them do come from YouTube, but I do have people that reach out to me on Instagram, and that's just where they're comfortable. Because in my videos, I say, reach out to me however you're comfortable and whenever you're ready. And they're just comfortable sending that DM, you know, seeing my page and who I am, and that's how they want to find out about me. Some people prefer to find out about you that way than looking at your Google business profile. So I definitely think it's important. And like I said, omnipresence, right? Having all of this there. But when we're talking about this in phases for everybody, like we said, if we were starting over with phases and what we would do, right? Sphere and YouTube would be the gold mine. That's the gold mine right there. Yeah. All right.
And here's what's funny. It just popped in my head here when we always talk, you know, it's like Instagram, YouTube, podcast, blog, whatever, right? Oh, this one's hard. This one's hard. It's all really about getting going. You're going to learn it as you go, and you're going to get better. But it is the number one thing across all platforms is consistency. With consistency, you'll get better. And if you strive to get better, you will, right? Every single one of these things Ryan and I have tried, we've tweaked, we've adjusted, we've adapted, and you're constantly evolving to continue to grow. If you just do one thing, it'll become outdated. You always have to live and breathe these things, and then they'll give back to you, right? Then you'll beat out the next realtor that's just on there, you know, studying whatever somebody tells them, but they really don't understand what it is because they're going to be doing the same thing for years to come, right? Yep. So consistency, and if you're posting and you're organized, you know, old school real estate, they're all like time block. Well, kind of the same thing here too. You got a time block, and you got to figure out what works for you, right? Instagram's my Monday day. Tuesday, Friday is going to be my YouTube day. And then in between all that, you're filling in the blanks. And then you're leveraging teams and VAs or whatever you need as you grow and as they're needed to help you fill in the blanks with blogging and whatever else, right? Yeah. Now, at this point, Ryan, though, let's just say you get to phase 3. Let's say you've got all this stuff going, your Instagram's up and going, and it's easy because it's a byproduct. What are some of the things that we could do in phase 4 to really take it to the next level? Because at this point, you're a local celebrity. Let's just be fair. People know you. They watch you on TV. They see you every other day in their email. And you're all over the map. You have literally become a media company that sells real estate at this point.
Yeah.
Phase 4, we haven't even mentioned Facebook group. I feel like that could go anywhere in there.
Yeah.
But Facebook group is really good way to just connect with your community. And to grow that out, it's almost like, you know, especially a private Facebook group. I love a private Facebook group where all the people that have done business with you can help the people that are going to do business with you. Or, you know, really just there's so many ways to play with the Facebook group, whatever works for your business model. But I love using it for all the people that have moved here. I mean, I've helped 5 people that live in the same community. They're like, oh my God, we met in the Facebook group. And then we went to the client appreciation where we were all, you know, once a year, twice a year, we do a client appreciation. And we go to a restaurant or bar or happy hour kind of set up. And they're like, oh my God, we met everybody and we came as neighbors. Like, what an awesome feel. You can't tell me, going back to the sphere of influence model, that 1 out of every 10 are going to buy or sell a house with me and refer business because I've built that relationship. So all of this stuff is going to go back to that sphere of influence because they are in your sphere of influence now. We just grew that with our marketing strategies, right? So Facebook group is another way to have that community. Phase 4, things are going to happen that are unplanned for you as well. You're going to have local marketing. No, but you're going to have local marketing partnerships, right? You're going to have, you know, I had a local builder reach out to me. He's like, man, I love your home tours. I love the home tour channel that you have on YouTube, which is a whole nother thing to talk about. But,
Oh yeah.
love your home tours. Can you do that for us? Because we do 10, 20 homes a year, and we don't have any marketing. And I started thinking about that. And I'm like, 10 to 20, that doesn't sound like a lot. Then I looked at them and was like, their minimum price is $2 million a house. That's $20 to $40 million a year that they want me to do their marketing for in sales. And guess what? I get to leverage that and potentially get one of my agents in there for an exclusive listing agent. That sounds like a really neat concept that I leveraged all from my video and the stuff I was already doing for my business. Opportunities are going to present themselves because you are the local guy. You're the guy with the resources, the value, and they see that you are a professional because of the information you put out. So I think you are going to have some curveballs coming at you in phase 4. And you just have to be open to growth, because there's still more growth to be had that we didn't even talk about yet.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely can have some curveballs. And to your point, like we have a home tours, like we said, that's a whole other topic of the styles of channels. But and we'll have videos and stuff on for you guys. But it can happen so crazy like that. And like we put the 2 under contract here recently from the channel, and we've gotten, like, when builders hear that, right? Because they have their fancy websites that they spend a lot of money on, things like that. They have the reps in the office, they get a video or 2 made, but they really don't know what they're doing. They really don't. They have no idea how to really put this out. If you're searching specifically for it because you drove by it, like, and you saw it and you wanted to know more, then you might find it. So we've been able to get just about every builder in this city to give us the green light. They're like, any community, go do it. Any community, please, right? Because they know that we are the resource. They know that we're actually bringing in clients. They've seen it, right? And so, yeah, we've gotten the green light every time we walk in. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, have at it, Yeah, so it's pretty crazy how it can all sort of change. But where did it all stem from? YouTube, right? So
yeah. I think having all those phases in your business, it's going to, it's going to make you a more well-balanced business, a more well-balanced realtor. And really, you're going to start taking control of what it is. You're not going to guess where your next paycheck's going to come or your next client's coming from. You're not going to be reaching out to Zillow for leads or any of those other paid ads. You're not going to need it. I mean, yes, there's a place for that in your business if you want it, but no more cold calling, no more Zillow, no more leads, no more ads. Your phone is now ringing. You are your own brand, and everything's going to be attracted to you.
And that's the whole point of everything we talked about today, is so that you are not like, yes, these are platforms that you do not own, but you are not beholden to paying Zillow however much money a month, or Realtor, or whatever other lead source it might be. We're trying to tell you that we've done it. We've literally living it. Like, you can build all of these organic strategies, and then when you want to start layering in other things, by all means, but you can build a really good business just following the phases that we've given you. But it takes time. This isn't something that you're going to be able to do tomorrow, right? Or overnight. These things take time, and you've got to understand when to move to, like, almost like graduate, right? Phase 1, he said, tap into my sphere. All right, I'm learning how to do this. I'm figuring this out. I'm working on the YouTube as well, so that I'm building that resource and that channel. Okay, when do I graduate to 2, then to 3? So we're literally giving you this roadmap that you can follow and build a really, really nice business from. So what do you want to do to put a bow on it? How do we put a bow on this? What are we doing here?
Yeah, man, I don't know. I think that we covered it pretty nice. Everything just intertwines really, really nicely. You just got to start. You got to, you can always reach out to us if you have questions. Leave those messages for us. We would be happy to help you or answer any questions. I'm sure at this point, if you've followed us this far, you've got a bunch of questions. So definitely do that, and stay tuned to our next podcast and our videos on our channel.
Yeah, you guys can reach out to us. You can drop it in the comments, but you can reach out to us, and we're always happy to help. Obviously, we don't just help for free. I'm just being honest, right? I know everybody wants to send all these messages and ask a million questions to either one of us or both, but you guys got to understand, like, we're giving you all of this value here. All right. because we really do want to help. All right. So to put a bow on it, be the resource, be the best resource possible. And there's a myriad of ways to do that, right? But it's not always just solely based on real estate. There's other ways to be the best resource possible for people who want to work with you. So thank you guys for tuning in. Tons more episodes and things happening on this channel here with Agent Marketers. Again, I'm Ryan and this is Adam. All right. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Follow in my footsteps, I say hello.